Court Press. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Do not forget that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. And of course, the Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And don't forget, you can find the Full Court Press wherever you listen to podcasts. Simply tell your device to play the Full Court Press by Drew Duncan, whether it's Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, etc. 32 teams, 32 days in the NFL, and the focus is the Dallas Cowboys. Look, the Dallas Cowboys have a lot going on. There's no denying that. And I'm not going to pretend that when I look at the Dallas Cowboys, I don't see a football team that isn't in a little bit of trouble at least. And I know that a lot of people have their thing about Jerry Jones, but I have said plenty of times over the last couple of seasons that whether you think Jerry Jones embraces the bad publicity that happens with the Dallas Cowboys or not, I'm going to tell you that he probably doesn't. And people say that Jerry Jones doesn't want to win. Who doesn't want to win? Look, there's no GM, there's no owner, there's no coach, there's no player that is not in the NFL to not win. It doesn't exist. And they won, 3 Super Bowls in a 4-year, 5-year span, somewhere in that neighborhood in the 90s. You're going to tell me that Jerry Jones didn't get addicted to that? Did he let his ego get the better of him? And did he finally, after years later, say that he should have kept Jimmy Johnson? Of course he let his ego get the better of him. He believed that he knew more about football than maybe he did or didn't. I know this much. I have said for the longest time that when Dak Prescott was getting ready to go into the NFL, that I never really believed that he would pan out to be a great quarterback. And the one good thing that I always said about him was he doesn't turn the football over a whole hell of a lot. And so when you have a guy that you can trust with the ball in his hands, that's a huge deal. You think about some of the other quarterbacks in the NFL that over the years have turned it over a ridiculous amount, right? Let's look at Brett Favre, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. If I remember correctly, set the record for most interceptions in the season and then went on to break his own record. So when you have a quarterback that you know that you can trust, that's a huge deal. But this is a football team that has been sort of breaking down yet building up at the same time over the last couple of years. I say that because you look at the instance when a couple of years ago, everybody thought that Jerry Jones was going to make the move to draft Johnny Manziel, right? Texas kid, a lot of hype on him, Heisman Trophy winner at one point, basically carried Texas A&M for a couple of seasons, made that football team and their coach look a lot better than they really were. Instead, they go with an offensive lineman. In this year's draft, I didn't say any names, but there was one particular fan of mine that was saying, where do you think the Dallas Cowboys are going to draft? And at every position, I said that I felt that they would go with is what they did. They needed some depth. They needed some defense. They needed some depth on the offensive line. You never know what's going to happen on the line. Jason Witten comes out of retirement, so you have that aspect back now. The issue has been this. The issue has been simply this, the running back position, right? You had Josh Gordon. He got into some trouble, or Joseph Gordon, pardon me. He got into some trouble, right? You have Zeke Elliott now, who's had his off-the-field issues. Now he's not coming back unless he gets the contract that he wants. Jerry Jones has said you don't need an elite running back to win a Super Bowl. That's the same guy who had Emmitt Smith, by the way, and who hasn't won a Super Bowl since. You look at the Dallas Cowboys and you wonder, how good is this football team really going to be this year? And by the way, the schedule from right out of the gate, they're going to be facing the Giants and Washington in back-to-back divisional games. Then after that, a couple of weeks down the road, they're going to see the Saints and the Packers. But here's the deal, though. Those games, with the exception of New Orleans, are all going to be at home. In fact, their first 4 out of 5 football games are going to be at home. So there's the one advantage that you've already got versus a lot of other teams in the league. You're going to be at home. So not only can you take control of the division early, but then you can go off and make other statements against big teams like the Green Bay Packers and the New Orleans Saints. Offensively, I have no idea what this team is honestly going to look like this year. They have been willing to let pieces of the puzzle go, right? We've already seen that with what happened with Dez Bryant. This is a team that is unafraid to make a bold move. So right now, we don't know what's going to happen because we don't know where Zeke Elliott is going to end up being in all this. And if they don't have that strong running game, then I really don't know that I trust the Dallas Cowboys to win more than 9 or 10 games this season. Look, the division that they're in with the NFC East as a whole is a huge conundrum. We don't know what we're going to get out of Washington. We really don't know what we're going to get out of the Giants. I don't think anybody anticipates much, especially with already having receivers hurt and suspended. With the Philadelphia Eagles, we all know that Carson Wentz, healthy, is one of the best quarterbacks in all the NFL. I don't think there's going to be anybody who denies that. But that's if he can stay healthy. That's going to be the main part of it. The Dallas Cowboys, predicated upon the division that they are in alone, could easily win 6, 7, 8 games this year to a lot of people. They're also going to be playing the Patriots. Look, their schedule, when I look at it, the Bears, the Rams, it's not an easy schedule at a close glance. I personally don't know how good the Rams are going to be this year. I know a lot of people are saying that they could repeat and go back to the Super Bowl. Of course, they wouldn't repeat a win, but they would repeat returning is what I mean by that, obviously. I don't know, but they've obviously got a chance with some statement games early on. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to have to be a football team that is going to have to rely on a very structured offense. They're probably not going to be able to do too many things that are outside the box, and they're probably going to have to just maintain and hope that basically this kind of one-trick pony or whatever it is they choose to go with works for them, and they're just going to have to put the pedal to the metal, stay on that, and really not go outside of it too much, to be perfectly honest with you. They're going to have to be relying on their defense to make plays. They're going to have to be relying on their defense to put the offense in good positions and give them a short field as much as possible. And in turn with that, you're going to have to also rely on your special teams to do the exact same thing. Guys, I am Drew Duncan, host of the Full Court Press. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. And, of course, the Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And, as always, don't you dare touch that dial.